everybody. Hello. Nice to see you. So the session today will be on Net Zero Cloud. Maybe you heard about it and what should be the next cloud on Salesforce. So just an introduction of myself. I'm Aline, I'm a solution engineer. I joined Salesforce 7 years ago now. Work in different industry and specialize on different cloud, mainly the marketing, Pardot, and Net Zero. And I'm also in charge of sustainability initiative in France for Salesforce. So happy to talk about videos, education, anything around that. Really happy on that. And really passionate about food, music, and street art. If you know, there is like an app called Space Invader, and you can flash it in many cities in the world. It's really a nice way to visit it. I'm a big fan of that. So, to start about net zero, we need to understand what is carbon accounting and why is it important to track it. So, it's like the financial part. It's a way that we need to track our emission, depending on a special protocol called G4G, GHG, on the greenhouse emission, and it's really specific accountability. Many companies have to do it, depending on the country, depending on the law, depending on that. It's really like a new financial part that you have to track. Based on a protocol, everything is like international on that. You need to track everything, calculate it, convert what you are doing into carbon emission, and do action based on that. It's divided in 3 categories, which we call scope. The scope 1, 2, and 3. The scope 1 is direct emission based on energy. Any energy, electric, solar, gas, whatever you are using, there is a direct emission of that. The scope 2 is the indirect emission. You use like EDF for your house, they use emission for that, so this is the indirect emission of the energy. So 1 and 2 are pretty mandatory to track for every company everywhere. Then you have the scope 3. It's all the rest. So it can be business travel, vehicle, product, anything, phone, anything. So it's the biggest part. So most of the companies today are mandatory to track the scope 1 and 2, which is quite easy. And then the scope 3 is all the rest. So it's really specific industry by industry, case by case on what you want to do. So this is the tricky part. And based on that, you have different law and regulation depending on the area, depending on your supply chain, depending on your industry. So it's really a complex part. What are the rules, where, how to track it, what to track it, depending on what. So it's quite complex. And also it's why I should do in terms of for the stakeholder in my company on the supply chain, how do I track the information, how do I make some commitment, what can I fix. So there are different parts where the organization needs a bit of help there. And this is where the idea for how also Net Zero can really help in how to have automized things, because today most of the things are doing in a spreadsheet. It's taking like around 6 months and 1 year to create your carbon emission. So how we can automate all of this and how we can have more integration and track everything, which get really tricky sometimes. So for that, that's how Salesforce creates Net Zero Cloud for all these challenges. One, to have a lot of automation, a more efficiency. We move the spreadsheet, win a lot of time for that. How you can manage some forecast, like I want to project in the next 3 years, what will be my next emission, what can I do, how I can track all my supply chain, how I can work with my suppliers on that, and how I can put some decision based on all this information I track in the CRM. How the story starts. It started by our sustainability team internally, who was working on spreadsheet, and she learned about via Trailhead how to use Salesforce. And then based on that, she was like, okay, maybe we can create some tools based on this just to win some time. So she started on Trailhead, she started to create a managed package based on that, and then we moved to have the first emission. We used it internally to do our carbon footprint. And then by the month and with more and more stakeholders asking us like, yeah, we should do something on that, we moved to real cloud with a lot of new features. First, it was mainly on carbon emission and carbon footprint, and going into ESG, more in ESG tool, how to track KPI around education, diversity. It's not only carbon part. So on the more technical part, what the tool is doing. So there is a different scope. So it's taking all the information. So it's how you capture all the data from your different scope and your different emission, convert it into the platform. Then you will have reporting already based on that, cover all the admin part that you need. A lot of countries need specific report based on specific regulation with specific information. So you already have the library of report that helps you. A projection. Of course, the analytic part will help you to project, to create scenario, and to have a better projection on that. Get a lot of assets, business travel, building, vehicles, suppliers. You already have a bunch of assets already in the platform, and how you bring everything into the CRM. Of course, it's also connected to the other cloud, not only on the CRM side, but you will have the interaction with the experience cloud for the supplier, how to get the information, with the Slack part for integration, MuleSoft, of course, to get the data connected. Like a lot of solution is creating just not one solution, but connected to all the other. So on one side, so in terms of dashboard, the business travel, how you can track it, you will have really a drill down of all the information, the power of CRM analytics behind, just to have all those information for the business travel, for example. Same for the supply chain, so the scope 3 is really the main part where how you get all your supplier, how you get all the emission, how you get all the information there, tracked in one place. Then the inside part. So the idea with the inside part is that when you have all your emission in the platform, what are you doing? What is your plan there? So there is different type of projection. First, how you can have the scenario on the carbon, and then the science-based target part is based on, okay, I want that my company is doing emission only to 1.5 degrees, the Paris Agreement. Maybe you want to put 2 or for 2030, 2015. So how do you put objective there? And then the platform will help you to put objective and then to track it. So yeah, just mention the SBTI, depending on the company and the analytics they want for that and what they want to track. The projection for the what-if analysis, so it's based on Tableau right now. The idea is that, okay, I want to put all my building on solar energy. What should be the scenario? Well, how my carbon will reduce. I want to remove all my vehicle for employees that move. How this will reduce my emission. So you will be able to put different inside there to put a projection to reduce the emission. Same for the forecasting. So the forecasting is how you convert money into carbon. So you spend a bunch of amount of money on a product, and how this product have a carbon emission, and based on that, you have the projection. So all for this forecast, you will have all the information uploaded, and then you will have the dashboard to take some decision based on that. And the more interesting part is more the platform. That's why I didn't put too many slides. It's better to see directly the product. So. It's bad? Oh yeah, oh you're right. Sorry, I didn't say it. I think it's there.
But maybe change the resolution of it to adapt.
That's better.
Oh, we start from the beginning. Oh, wow. That looks nice.
Okay, that's all. Please, it was on the slide and the going.
Well, you explained it.
Yeah. Okay, so welcome to Net Zero Cloud. More easy to read. So it's really the idea for the different team that's using it. It's not many users, like the sustainability team, the ESG team are in general 3-5 people in the company. It's really small, sometimes just one. So you don't need a lot of users there. And they will have a lot of dashboard with the different information. Because the idea is really how you can project and how you can track all of those to really make decisions. So the challenge is you have the 3 scope. Today you have many tools that are doing the scope 1 and 2, but the scope 3 is the most difficult part. So the idea is really to give all the insight and all the assets in one places, then they can have a view where there is a big gaps and where they can take action. In terms of carbon, there is the location-based and the market-based. If you take a train in France and if you take a train in America, it's not the same carbon emission because behind a different company, they are not using the same energy, so you need to make the difference there. This is where there is a lot of complex parts. So you can, of course, based on that, you have all the assets just to upload it. So you will have like a general dashboard based on the year for the climate part. Then you will have the carbon emission set with a projection for the different years. So it will really help you based on your forecast, on what you have, what you upload, to really project there. It's really the analytic part. It's really like we're time saving because we're coming from spreadsheets. So really, it's really completely different world there. Then, of course, the different scope, how you can compare, how you can see, depending on the emission and the projection you will be, the reduction, and how will you track it. So you will have a bunch of dashboards available depending on your assets. One part also, it's also the different assets that you will have. So in this case, I'm with the example of Salesforce company. So we have a commercial building, data center, vehicle, depending of your industry. Of course, depending on that, you will have different type of assets, freight, product, different things. So you have at the beginning, in terms of project part, a lot of assets to check, a lot of okay, what do I have, what do I want to track, all the inventory, which take a lot of time in general. Then, of course, it's how you upload all the data on the different parts for the travel, the air, train, public transport. How do you track all this information? The capture of the data, it's really a tricky part. So when you have, same for the energy, you have a bunch of dashboard already available. You put the data there, and then you have the dashboard. Then, the tools will help you. Because you have the dashboard, that's the easy part, but the tools will really help you to put all your data assets. So Scope 3, as is the main challenge, will use a specific method, which is called EEIO, that will help you to put all your data set and all your scope and all your what you want to track. So step by step, it will help you to have your different emission factor, the carbon footprint, the list of suppliers, to put everything in the data model. So it's object just on the sales and the CRM side, and it's just adding just a new data model on there. And then it will help you just step by step how to upload it. Because mainly the sustainability team, they don't know anything about CRM, they don't know how to use the CRM, so we really needed to help them here on the transition from spreadsheets. Then you will have, same for the reduction emission, you will be helped just to put an inventory, what do you want to track, what are the objectives of the company, what are the targets, how do I want to put it, for how many years, you will have all this asset there. To go more into details, how does it look like on every asset that you have? So in this case, for example, for a data center, you will have all the information. What is my type of asset? What are my emission factor for electricity? For what carbon emission that do I take from a specific country? So the platform is coming with a lot, already a library of emission factor on a lot of countries, but of course you can upload your own one. Some of industry have their own, depending on the product and the supply chain that they have, but you already have a library there of a lot of emissions. So it's doing the conversion for you directly, which is really helpful in terms of time for that. And of course, at every release, it's up to date with new version. You're already alert. You can choose another one if you want. And then, based on this asset, you will have to validate the data. So on the sustainability world, you need a lot of audits and validate that all you are providing and all the data that you are collecting are right. And you will have a lot of external audit for that. So of course, on the project side, the CRM will really help on where are my assets, what data did I collect, at which step am I, did I validate it, and is it I'm at an audit part or not, and how is it complete. So of course, all the assets are put with a different step of validation, and the Kanban side, really easy after to validate the different steps. You can put some flow, some process there to validate the data. Then same, depending on the assets. The main part will really be on the asset side. What do I have? What do I need to track? There is a lot of project at the beginning, and then of course you have everything automated. Then you will have in terms of management, in terms of administration. I mentioned that you already have a lot of data already put in there, so it's really also in full transparency. What are the sources? What are the different emission factors that is already provided in some platform? How you can upload it, put some new one. In terms of administration, it's quite easy to use, and you are helped at every steps. Then you have the projection part, so the what if part. So this is where you will have the different scenario that you can put in place for the different years. So I'm saying, okay, let's say for 2014, I want to reduce my business travel for a certain percentage. I want to be sure that it's on the special part, a special category of the scope 3. And then I can check then after the different scenario where, okay, I will see the reduction. Is it relevant or not to put some decision there on the different area? So it really helps you to have some decision plan there. And of course, you can have as many scenarios as you want to compare it, depending on that. Then in terms of how we move forward from the climate part is the ESG part. So the idea behind is to have the community, your experience portal with all the suppliers, and where you can interact with them, asking for a scorecard, for emission, for any KPI that you want to track, and based on that you will have the different information in one dashboard on the different KPI that you want to track. It can be the SDG, it can be your own KPI, you can create different ones there. And then, the last thing I can show you, because it's a lot of feature and it's a quite complex one, it's for the emission factor. So the idea is with the scope 3, you have all your assets, your different scope, and then it's converting the money into carbon emission. So this is where we look at all the data imported, and then you have the conversion directly on the aggregation on the CO2. So it's really time saving for this part. And of course, with the net zero, you have a supplier portal that it's with it. You have a template for the supplier portal. And then this is where you ask your different supplier the different information. And I think next is the question. Is it like, I didn't know if it was interactive, if you can have chat, if you want, if you have any question there.
How many people do you think are needed to implement and to set up this tool?
In terms of partner or on the customer side? Or both?
Both.
So on the customer side, in general, it's like 2-3 people, and if they already have a CRM administrator, it's really helpful there just to have the setup. In terms of project management, on the integrator side, it's not many people, but they need more the knowledge and the skill on the sustainability part, because it's like it's a specific area, and in terms of, okay, for this industry, what KPI you need to track, and what assets you need to track, it's really like specific knowledge for that. So it's not many people. Today on the project in general, we have like 2 or 3 people on the integrator side, and 2 or 3 people on the sustainability part side, and that's it. It's not a big team.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of newbie here, so I'm getting to learn about Salesforce and becoming an admin. I'm very interested in this app, and I want to know if you guys have any tools or resources that can help us as a new admins to know how to implement this.
Yeah, on the partner side, you have a full program just to be able to implement it on the customer side. So on the partner community, you will find all the information. Then you have the Trailhead part, of course, you get the different insight there. Then there is not yet a user group because it's really quite new, but yeah, there is a bunch of information how to implement it, etc. Yeah, with you have a trial directly with the partner. Yeah. Thank you.